Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in South Corner map, playing in red we've got Lord Voldemort, also known as Demu, representing Team Liquid, playing as the Zhu Xi Legacy, and his opponent in the north. In blue we've got Core, playing as the Holy Roman Empire. Welcome everyone to Cliffside. That's the map for today. We're going to have a fantastic matchup today. Two civilizations that I would say a bit more on the sort of eco side of things, maybe the castle age side of things. They can have a nice power spike, both these civilizations, in that particular age. Now, the Holy Roman Empire have been with us since the beginning of the game, the launch of Age of Empires 4, so we know them very well. The Zhu Xi Legacy, though, a bit more of a newer civilization. Players are still starting to figure them out. Look how many sheep that Zhu Xi Legacy have picked up as well. That aggressive scouting pattern for Core didn't quite work out for him. He's already gone across the map halfway, looking to go around the back of Demu's base. Now, Core's definitely going to want to have a lot of sheep back at home at some point because, you know, the Holy Roman Empire do get that 40% bonus in terms of gather rate. It is incredibly strong for those villagers. The Zhu Xi Legacy can be pretty, I guess there can be lots of different options available to them. A lot of the time they do go for the Song Dynasty second town centre play, that kind of style. Sometimes, you know, they can go for a bit of a cheeky fast castle, staying in the Tang Dynasty, considering the Tang Dynasty does give them the cheaper tech up to the next stage. Either way, hope you guys are having a great morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and if you're not having a great day, then maybe, hopefully, some of these games will make things a little bit better for you. Excited to see this. Wait a minute. Is that two Cores coming up with two scouts as the HRE? Holy smokes, we haven't seen this in a while, but I mean, again, we have not seen it in a long time to have a second scout as the HRE, but in some ways, you know, you do chew through the food. So you've got one scout coming back home with the sheep to drop off, and then the other scout going out and about. Bear in mind, obviously, you know, with only one scout, you can't actually be on the map for too long because of the fact that, I mean, you gotta bring them back, otherwise you're gonna run out of sheep underneath the town centre because those villagers, they're chewing through the food very quickly. Here he comes back. The question is whether the HRE do go for a bit of a fast castle and look to get those relics. Can be an option, especially with the Regnitz Cathedral. Relic positions are fairly okay-ish, but this kind of neutral one, I suspect, is not really that neutral. It is very much in favour of... I mean, to be fair, actually, as the crow flies, it's actually fairly neutral. Just over to the side there, on the west side. Oh, villagers going out to the boar nice and early for Core. There'll be a brilliant amount of food coming in, and it makes a lot of sense, right? Because you don't really expect the Zhu Xi Legs to be too aggressive in the feudal age unless they go for a bit of a Chukanu push, which is an option for them. They, of course, don't need the actual Song Dynasty to be able to do that, so it could be an option for them for sure. Going to go for the huntable boar with 8 villagers and the prelate heading out there as well. So that food is going to come in quick time. That's going to be absolutely fantastic for the HRE. Actually coming away from gold here. That means actually it's not going to be a fast castle play. We can say that much. It's going to be a second town centre or feudal age play. I mean, we don't often see a second town centre for the HRE. This is a very different style of playing. Especially opening up with that second scout and now being off of gold. Suggests very much that it's not going to be a fast castle. Meditation gardens being placed closer to home on the wood and the berries. Going to be getting a decent amount of food and wood income from that. There's the ball coming in. 8 villagers. That food is going to be coming in so fast. It's kind of crazy. Nessalami in the chat on Twitch. Do I also play this game? I do on occasion. A little bit more casually than I once used to. Used to play very competitively, or at least trying to play competitively. Now I do love the Mega Random Nomad custom games. Those are something quite spectacular to have. Quite chilled games at times and not too stressful. Now that's a question I can't answer there, Nessalami. Hope you guys are following along. I mean, if you're on YouTube, you're thinking, what am I talking about? Well, I'm streaming on Twitch these days. So sometimes we'll reference to people in chat. We've got Nessalami today in chat. So say hi to YouTube, guys. Now, I've been thinking about streaming on YouTube as well. That's something I might actually consider putting on to stream both onto YouTube and on Twitch. If that's something you actually would like to enjoy see if you're on the YouTube side of things, let me know. And maybe that's something we'll do. Actually, wait, what's going on? Okay, he's going over to gold now, so maybe he just wanted to... Maybe he's going to go for a fast castle, which makes a lot of sense when you're on ball. Wasn't expecting to see a transition away from the villagers on gold and then back onto it again. That's what's happening. kind of interesting. Maybe he's trying to hide that from Demu, right? Just waiting for the scout to have been on gold and then going back onto the gold very heavily. Unless Alami asks, is Lord Voldemort bold? He actually is, funnily enough. And I'm not even joking. As you guys know, Demu, I mean, the name suggests, and it is true. Going out to stone, so you're certainly looking for that second town centre. 2 villages going on to stone so far. So you question whether it is on... with only 2 villages on stone, you have to question, is that a second town centre play, or is it more of an outpost with arrow slits? That could be an option. Certainly, with the food coming in quick time on the board, it's going to have a really good uptime, actually, on this, on the Castle Age side of things. Palace Guards coming out. Interesting. So it's making feudal age Palace Guards. Double barracks, no less. Definitely interesting strategy to be played out here. Forcing the outpost. Just enough wood for it, and it should go up in the end, but might lose a villager or 2. Although if the prelate comes out, should be able to heal on up the weaker villagers. Yep, it's going to be healing on up. Should be going up okay. The Palace Guards, I'm afraid, won't get any kills, but will cause a bit of idle time on those villagers backing away, and does cut off the gold, so we'll deny that Castle Age time up just a little bit. A decent amount. Now having to back away with the Palace Guards. Going to get a blacksmith, most likely for some iron undermesh upgrades, so they can get a bit closer to the town centre, maybe go for that wood line and tank a little bit. Now there is that Castle Age tech up. Wait a minute! It's the Burgher of Palace, ladies and gents. Forget about playing for relics. Forget about the Regn's Cathedral. Court is looking to be aggressive with the Burgher of Palace. This is not something we've seen in a long, long time, and we're seeing it today. Palace Guards have to back away now on the gold vein. Question in chat. Are there pro players from AoE2DE that still play Age of Empires 4? Not really, actually. Most of the players have actually returned back to AoE2. The likes of Viper, Hera, Kazva as well. I don't think really plays AoE4 that much anymore. So yeah, certainly most of the players from AoE2 have returned back to AoE4, which makes a lot of sense because it is I mean, Age of Empires 4 and Age of Empires 2 are very, very different games. Despite being in the franchise, they're very, they play out very differently. So not too surprising in that regard, especially with the AoE2 scene being so strong at the moment. Going out to Boar here on the west side here, Demu. Taking the Imperial officials as well, just to increase the amount of food being dropped off, and that's going to be a nice bit of income for him for sure. The Burgher Palace is going to come out, and that's going to do well. I mean, the Palace Guards will have the movement speed, but the HRE, of course, will have the Castle Age man-at-arms, which will be incredibly powerful on the field. It's going to pump them out quickly. Here's the first one already. You can imagine if Court was able to get a blacksmith with iron undermesh with this as well, that would be incredibly strong. Now for Court, it's all about delaying tactics really for this pressure on the gold. Needs to be a bit careful, needs to keep the gold income coming in, right? Because the Burgher of Palace is incredibly strong as a landmark to pump out units, but you need the resources for that. If it doesn't continue gathering gold, it's going to be an issue. He could actually potentially move the villages away from that particular gold vein, go around the back, but it's not as well protected. And if the Palace Guards get onto that, it would be an issue. But now with 5 man-at-arms, he should be able to keep this area nice, safe and secure. And Aeroslits is in play with that outpost. They're going to chuck another couple of villagers onto the gold. And has now transitioned onto the deer camp. So you could just see how fast that ball was taken. Going to go underneath the town centre. No real problems there. 8 villagers garrison inside. Villagers have to back away from wood. And that will delay any sort of blacksmith play here for quite some time. Palace Guards again denying villagers on gold. Going to take out 1 at least now. Should be able to get another, possibly. Just might get 1 more swipe on it. Doesn't. He does actually get it in the end. That villager was not able to get out of there alive. Yeah, the question is really, where are the man-at-arms for Court? Has he spotted this yet? That's something to consider. He's going to chuck away with 1 man-at-arms. I mean, with this number of Palace Guards, despite there being in the feudal age, he'll still do decently well. There they are, going around the back. Going around the west side as well with 1 on the stone. And it looks like indeed those 2 villages on stone was for the hand cannon slips. Man-at-arms going to dive on that gold vein. And the kind of problem that Demu has at the moment, he's got to protect the gold. Got to find a way to gather that gold. He's taking the fight underneath the tower. Now without iron and the mesh, the tower will get a little bit of value, but still these guys are so heavily armoured. It's looking a bit dicey there for the Zhu Xi Legacy, I've got to say. Equal numbers, of course. The HRE will win this fight. Back at home. Oh, well, hello. That's not going to work, right? Wait, that's actually quite close. Oh, no, almost there, Core. Tried to heal up with the other prelate, but didn't quite manage it, and we'll bring the prelate back inside the outpost anyway. That was kind of close. If he got the prelate out there a little bit early from the Ark and Chapel, I believe, maybe, just maybe, it would have worked. He lost all the man at arms on the forward goal position, and yep, he's back on gold here, Demu. Interesting opening to the game, especially with the Burger of Palace. It's not something we see all that often. Double barracks Palace Guard rush from Demu. And yeah, with a bit of a quiet time now. Hope you guys are doing well in the Twitch chat. Welcome in, Vandes. How's it going, Road Console? Yeah, the new emotes are, I really enjoy them actually. They're really good. So is the AoE4 Pro scene kind of a new thing? Like, where do these players come? Most of them from StarCraft, to be honest. A lot of them from StarCraft 2. That's for sure. How's it going, Mimo Felena? Oh, climbed to Diamond. Nice, congratulations. It's really hard to get to that level, you know? Well played. Nicely done there, Vanders. Alright, spotted the villagers here, and there's kind of an issue. Like, you will have some space inside the outpost, but not enough for them all. There's only one man at arms, though. Oh, taking the fight there, and the Palace Guards now in the feudal age will soon be upgraded, because there's that tech up to the castle age for the Zhu Xi Legacy. It's gone up with a Shaolin Monastery. Looking to perhaps contest some of those relics, which, you know, there is only one in the bag here for core, but 4 more up for grabs. Oh, villagers away from gold. Might get another 1 or 2 there. I mean, ultimately, Demu's done a lot of damage with his Palace Guards. The movement speed really helping him out. He's killed 6 so far. He's kept the villagers here idle for a bit of time there, core. But with Steeled Arrow coming in, looks like positionally going to be going for some crossbows that help deal with the man-at-arms. There they are. That's something that Core's going to have to be careful of and maybe make a transition away from barracks units or, you know, Burger of Palace units. And the farming transition starting to open up now for the HRE. It's kind of that 15-minute mark that we're coming to where food on the map starts to expire. And then we start to see a bit more of a delay in terms of army production because of it. Man-at-arms going on to the villagers there again. Oh, crossbows behind the Palace Guards. That's actually going to be a decent fight for Demu if he keeps microing away. I mean, the man-at-arms will chase it down. The crossbows, of course, the hard counter to this. So every volley of arrows that come in from the crossbows does significant damage on these units, especially with that marching drills, which is incidentally coming in very soon. And of course, he doesn't have Iron Undermesh just yet. Oh, Crackety coming in with a suggestion of a casted game. Yeah, we'll look into that for sure. Thank you. Appreciate that. That sounds pretty cool. But yeah, the crossbows mopping this all up and coming around the right side with a couple of man-at-arms. I mean, the Burger of Palace has done what it's done. It's done what it could, but ultimately now I think there's got to be a switch away from this, or at least adding another unit type. Possibly horsemen, which could be an option, but obviously they're very heavily costed on food. Not that that's a problem for Core. Looks like maybe strategically Core is opting for the Imperial Age with the Palace of Smart, but plenty of food in the bank. There's a lot of villagers. Holy moly. Demu. Clearly wanting that food in quick time. Guys, that's a lot of villagers here. Jeez Louise. 3 man-at-arms though, getting some value. A couple of crossbows will push that way. I mean, it's causing a lot of idle time, right? The 36 villagers is the heart of the economy. The Zhu Xi Legacy is being attacked on the north, although, yeah, the town centre takes care of the couple of man-at-arms. Man-at-arms already been taken out. Thank you. I do like saying "Jeez Louise." I know that's one of my catchphrases, I suspect. I like it too. Right, Relic being brought back. Now 3 relics in the bag for Core. 4th one coming on in. That is really impressive. He actually quickly mopped that all up. As Demu then did get to the castle age. Jiangnan Tower coming up, so we'll be activating the Song Dynasty. Looking to get the farms up pretty soon. The transitions are going to be coming in relatively soon, but bear in mind, Core. He's going to go with the Palace of Swabia. And he's going to be pumping out villagers. This is actually looking to be a really good spot for him because I mean, ultimately at this stage of the game, core is, you know, sometimes what you often see with the HRE going up against other civilizations, at this time they're kind of maybe behind on villages, maybe opponents have gone for multiple town centers, or they've been super aggro. You know, Demu went for the kind of aggro approach, and so, you know, the villager lead for him is not all that significant, and the villager lead that exists is because of the damage he's done. But that villager lead is about to just disappear in a heartbeat with the Palace of Swabia coming online soon. Question in chat, am I from London? Yep. That is indeed the case. Palace of Swabia, about to be up and running. Now we start to see maybe a couple of outposts getting those cannon emplacements eventually. It's kind of irritating to see and play against. I don't know how you guys feel, but when I play against HRE, it's one of the most infuriating things because they're so powerful. They come in so early into the game, and also obviously with emergency repairs, they're obviously very difficult to take out without siege. Plenty of army on the field though for Demu, mostly infantry units, and so would need some siege in order to actually take down those outposts, if indeed placements do come in. There's still going to be a bit of a delay in terms of any sort of further aggression from core, because he spent a lot of resources to get to that next stage. I mean, granted it is cheaper for the HRE, but it's still an expensive tech up, and it means that now he needs to get that farming transition, and once he does establish that though, he'll be rocking and rolling again. Meanwhile, Demu has been able to access 2 of these 3 sacred sites, so going to be getting a decent amount of passive gold from that. He's about to be taken out on the west side. Also, the boar is still there. Not very much left of it, really. Around the back. 2 or 3... Yeah, 2 palace guards pushing the villagers away from berries, which is a problem, because that, you know, food was an issue. Boar has a decent bank of it, though, at the moment. We do start to see the cannon emplacements being researched. Yeah, you can see the mass outposts now coming up. Adding some archery rangers. Adding that into the mix. Could start to see some hand cannoneers potentially. West side sacred site was being activated, but not going to be managing it in the end. Shaolin monk making a run for it. Yeah, he's getting the upgrades. As you can see, getting the veteran horseman upgrades, so they could potentially be looking to get some raiding action in, and it's understandable because, of course, on a map like Cliffside, whilst it's relatively, I wouldn't say necessarily easy to wall up, but it's not, it's okay as a map to wall up. There are absolutely no walls at the moment, and Demu's not really one of those players that particularly walls up anyway. So, you know, Horseman could be a really nice unit here for the HRE, especially up against the crossbows from the Zhu Xi Legacy. It is ultimately a counter unit for the crossbows. We do start to see a siege workshop. Come up with a nest of bees or 2. Double town centre now being added. So Demu going to look to try and triple town centre. In fact, look to try and keep up with the Palace of Swabia. Do a decent job of that. Fortified outpost, getting some decent damage with the spring on emplacement. But certainly with the 3 town centres, he'll be keeping up a little bit. So we might start to see this game head into sort of the mid to late game, which is kind of exciting. Mass production buildings. Core getting his economy rocking and rolling, and is getting the production to match it. The question is, what will his unit of choice be? Go through the middle. There's actually a very distinct lack of units for core. I've got to say, 4 military units. This is with their typical kind of playstyle for HRE, though, in the Imperial Age. They will pack a punch, though, once the units start to pump out because of the economy coming into play. But I've got to say, Demu keeping up on the village count for sure. Palace guards making a move on the right, on the back. Now, also being in consideration of the gold situation. 20 minutes into the game on Cliffside, you start to think about your gold situation. There's still a good 3,000 gold in that gold pile and gold vein, but that's going to run out pretty quickly considering they're in the Imperial Age. Upgrades are pretty expensive, units are going to be expensive as well. Horseman up against the Palace Guards. Palace Guards might just take that fight actually. They shouldn't be doing too badly, but it's heading away for now. Certainly gold situation is going to be a tricky one, and that's where the control of the map becomes very important. Both players will be looking to exert some influence on the map. Palace Guard's going to be swinging on their weapons. Do as much damage as possible. I mean, actually, to be fair, numbers-wise, the horsemen are in good numbers, and these are pretty decent horsemen at the moment, with the first attack upgrade Bloomery. Man at Arms, though, going to be finding difficult to get too much value with this number of crossbows. With 4 relics in play for the HRE, gold income is going to be very nice. Bear in mind, guys, he didn't go up with the Renget's Cathedral, so it's just a standard relic in that case. Still, 4 relics, of course, is a healthy amount. The good thing about the horseman as well, can get on the map quickly to deny the sacred sites. That's something that's going to be important to do, try and deny the gold from their enemy. Palace Guards just going to be annoying and harassing. Now looks like Tithe Barnes is already in. And this is the cannon emplacement in the outpost, right? I'm sure the Palace Guards might try and get some value around the back, but with cannon emplacement outposts, it's very difficult to. Further farming transition coming around the back. Both players scaling their economy, had a bit of aggression in the early game, and now in the mid to late game, we're starting to see the players ramp out army. That's a lot of Nester Bees. Holy smokes. If that's something that quarter spots, is definitely going to need a couple of spring ores because, you know, a couple of Nester Bees, 1 or 2 of them, you can maybe dive on them with horsemen. But when there's this number, protected by crossbows, it can be a bit tricky. Although if there's a big surround, and ultimately Nester Bees do have a minimum attack range, so if the horsemen can get a surround on them, they will be able to take them out eventually. You'll need a decent number of them. Certainly more than he has on the screen at the moment. And Demu starting to wall up Stonewall nonetheless. 2 gold veins and a stone pile right in front of it. Okay, and there is that siege workshop. And we are starting to head to the game situation where siege is going to become an important unit in the army for both players. Horseman about to dive on in. Just got to be careful. Nester Bees getting a decent number of volleys off, and yeah, the horseman. Oh god, look at the damage output on that. It's going to take a couple of villages on the outpost, and I mean, in a way, I love the use of the horseman, by the way, because of course they only cost food and wood, and they do get demolished pretty heavily here. But considering the economy and how much food and wood is coming in for core at the moment, they're units that actually, if you lose, it's not the end of the world. You know, ideally, you don't want to lose anything, but sometimes trades have to be made, sacrifices have to be made. And horseman can be one of those units. Getting at the west side sacred site. Biology, military academy coming in as well, and the 3rd food gathering technology coming in. That's going to be a great amount of food very quickly. Question in chat, is this game live? It's not, it's actually from a replay, but it's a game recently in the last couple of hours. Like last 6-7 hours it was played. So it's very new. And yeah, I am just commentating on this game particularly today. I might play some a little bit later, but yeah, generally as a caster, most just commentate on the games and talk about the strategies that players are involved in and what they're planning to do and what considerations come into play. It's going to be the Imperial Age here, Temple of the Sun, for the Zhu Xi Legacy. But welcome in, Qui-Gon. Hope you're having a good day. A nice keep on the right side. We talked about how gold is going to become an issue. Protecting 2 gold veins with 1 keep. HRE could potentially do something similar on the west side, but those 2 gold veins are a little bit further out. Taking engagement on the front. There's a lot of villagers on the front berries. Horsemen going to dive on top of that. Good number of spearmen, though, added into the mix to try and protect the crossbow numbers. Nester Bees behind them. But the horsemen will start to go through, and I mean, they're pretty weak, though, to break through. Might get 1 Nester Bees at most. Probably not, though, in the end. Nester Bees does retreat, and a lot of horsemen traded in for that. But crossbows getting melted quite a bit, especially with the man-at-arms backing that up. That's actually huge. The horsemen can take out the crossbows. Man-at-arms are going to be added into the fight, and if the crossbow numbers do dwindle, those man-at-arms are going to have a good fight of this. A couple of Nester Bees on the back. Villagers coming out to repair to keep them alive as long as possible. Crossbow going to try and get on top of them so they can't get surrounded. But man-at-arms and horsemen starting to break through a little bit. And they keep trickling in here for core. And ultimately, Core's going to want to do some damage to the siege engines if he can, but can't quite get on top of it. Horse numbers do start to melt. Demu's held. Took some losses, but ultimately did a lot more damage considering the units that have been placed are elite horsemen. Core won't necessarily mind it too much. Has actually got all 3 sacred sites, by the way, the HRE, and also has a bombard behind this. The siege push coming in for Core. If it can protect that bombard, it'll be helpful. It's got a couple of hand cannoneers already started to come onto the field. 2 of them on the front. That outpost will go down to the bombard. Leicester Bees, though, starting to make their way forward, and that's kind of a scary sight, the numbers of them. How's it going, Blaze in chat? Welcome in. Oh, that's a lot of horsemen. Jeez, we're going to see a lot of this, actually, I think. With this number of Leicester Bees, it's going to be very hard to break through. He's trying his best to get us around, but Demu obviously protecting them incredibly well. Now, if this game does go super late, considering that Core has 4 of the relics, that's going to be a really good situation for him. Zhu Xi Legacy can get some gold from the tax collection from the Imperial officials, but it's not necessarily something huge to write home about. Temple of the Sun, currently giving infantry units 15% faster movement speed. That will certainly help getting around the map and also getting in position. But Demu is going to have to start thinking about maybe getting onto the map and denying the sacred sites. I wonder if a keep could be placed in the middle, because this could be a point of contention for Core. Horseman going around the back. Farming transition very much completed there for the Zhu Xi Legacy. Keeps a keep as well just to protect it, and will protect it quite well. Spearman will rip through those horsemen, looking to deny the sacred site on the right side. And the big issue is that actually the Shaolin monks can fight. The regular prelates can't. That sacred site on the right should be taken down. 2 bombards and a culverin added. The HRE do have a significantly lower number of military units, but the quality of the units are pretty amazing. But I think this is something that if Demu wishes to push out on, he possibly could take the fight. Probably a bit concerned about the culverin. A couple of man-arms going on the right side on that wood line. Hacking and slashing some of those villagers, but can't really push on much further forward because of the keep in play, and 8 army tactics coming on in, and that will be boosting up the health of all the melee infantry by 20% and also the damage increased by 20%. So on the right side incidentally wasn't actually decapped, so 7 minutes still on the ticking timer. Unit numbers starting to build up again for Core. Starting to really mess up here. Demu is at 200 population, so is Core incidentally. Three Springles, Horseman about to dive on in. Leicester Bees going to try and get as much damage as possible. There's a bit of a choke point. That could be devastating if Leicester Bees do fire on that. But they're actually focusing on the 2 Horsemen there on the west side. And the Horseman did take out 1 Springle, but the Leicester Bees now going to start to redirect their fire and go on top of the Horseman right on the back of that university. A lot of numbers dying, fighting underneath the keep as well. Just less than ideal. Core kind of chucking away units here quite significantly. Now they are Horsemen ultimately, and he's got plenty of food and wood to do it, but it does feel rough for this to happen. Bombard's having to head back home. Gotta be careful not to lose those. These guys are expensive. Sure, he's losing horsemen, which are just food and wood, but you don't want to lose the bombards. A heavy gold cost attributed to them. Leicester Bees starting to push a bit further forward. That's a bit of a death ball of army, I've got to say. Looking a bit scary for the HRE, getting pushed quite heavily now. So the Spearman crossbows got all the perfect counter units that Demu would want. Covering though, was trying to snipe on Leicester Bees, didn't quite manage it. The infantry working well, especially with the extra 20% damage output of the Spearman and the 15% movement speed. Gonna take out the bombard possibly. Now the bombard should be okay if especially villagers come out to repair. Doesn't even need to repair. Yeah, he does actually, to be fair, just as well as he did. The siege death ball moving a bit further forward. A bit of a raid here around the back with the horseman. Oh, could snipe at the bombard if he's paying attention here, Core, but it probably isn't. Oh, he spotted it in the end, and he does take it out. Nicely picked off. And he's holding for now. Palace Guards versus the Man-at-Arms, but a couple of crossbows will rip through that quite quickly. Fighting underneath the cannon outpost, which He's going to want to break through on the right side. Speaking of the right side, there's a lot of production coming up for Core. He needs it. Got plenty of resources, but he needs to spend it. It's down to 182 population. I mean, he's still replenishing the army as they're being lost. And ooh, this could be a bit of an overextension here. There's a lot of horsemen riding on in. There's a lot of siege unprotected in the choke point. And if he gets a wraparound, takes out the Springald, and he should be able to take out a couple more. Palace Guard's heading on in. I think he dives this. He's got it, right? He's got to take the investment or the chance to take out the siege. Didn't actually get too much more in the end. The spearmen braced the horsemen. They couldn't path their way through. SBs get another volley. So Demu surviving there with the siege. That's actually quite a critical moment in the game, potentially. The horseman almost got on top of them. Bear in mind, all of a sudden the the gold situation is starting to become tricky. Both players fighting around the stone vein and finding it difficult to get their way around. Oh, that bombard might be dived upon. He's got to be careful not to lose that too easily. I think Core needs to move away from the horseman line. There's just too many spearmen, it feels. It's just pushing him back quite heavily. Adding more siege workshops, maybe mangonels. And I think siege is going to be important for the HRE to push back the nest of bees. It just feels like the horsemen aren't cutting it with the number of spearmen involved. Now having to go to this gold vein. Gold is vastly being mopped up by both players. And that keeping a really nice spot there for Core, I gotta say. Protecting that gold vein. And that's certainly one way to do it. On the west side to keep here as well. This is actually looking a very good situation for Core because he's got 2 gold veins on the west side. He's got kind of in his grasp, and I'd love for him to take this one because this is one that Demu might contest. If he takes it ahead of time, it'd be great. Coming around the back with a couple of horsemen trying to get onto the bombards, but the spearmen are in position. Or they might get the bombard just... No, I don't think he will. Not with that number of spearmen. They get absolutely ripped through those horsemen. And Core is finding it difficult to push further from this angle. A couple of man-at-arms diving on in. Nope. Was possibly thinking he might get the bombard. Didn't quite manage it in the end. But certainly at this stage of the game, you want to do everything you can to get as much gold off the map as you possibly can. And looks like Core, with this one under control, Demu can't really take that without taking the keep down. Having said that, he's sending 2 bombards there now, and that certainly looks to be the target for Demu. Moving a couple of villages on the right side, going to deny this goal with a keep. That's a fantastic position. Bear in mind, this keep is undeniable now. This keep is definitely going up, and this is a smart play. This is a still full goal vein. This is a clutch play by Demu. That's a lot of dead villagers too. Not that it matters too much with the Palace of Swapi, but ultimately the more important thing is the control on that right side that Demu gets with that keep is absolutely phenomenal. Core is going to get an attack notification and say, okay, alright, that's yours, I get it, okay, I'm going to have to back away. No choice about it, and that gold income now for Demu is secured for the short term at least. It's unfortunate that Core didn't get a keep in that position. He looked like he was almost aiming towards. Look at the number of bombards though coming out. The siege for the Zhu Xi Legacy does lose 1 to the 2 culverins. This 2 culverins actually getting good work, I've got to say. It does lose 1 because of the bombard numbers. No villagers to repair that culverin for the HRE. Tanking with the man-at-arms on the spearmen. I mean, ultimately, Demu having to focus on these food and wood units because of the lack of gold that's been there for a while, but that's all about to change. That keeping this position about to go down. Oh god, he's actually getting a lot more control back now. The sheer number of bombards here for Demu, making great work on the map. Gets the gold protected here on the right side and is going to get hold of that very soon. He's also going to get hold of this gold vein. He's just secured up again. Or he's taking away the keep. And Core starting to be on the back foot once again. And of course, population still relatively healthy. But he needs to find a way to deal with the siege. Siege has been such a prominent feature of the Zhu Xi Legacy's army today. And it's been making it work really well here, Demu. There's a lot of siege. 6 bombards, 2 nest of bees, and a bit of a lower focus on nest of bees at the moment. Horsemen about to dive on in. Spearmen need to get in position. Actually, these horsemen, if they ignore the villagers, which they do now, they're going to go for the bombards, and they really should. Should be able to get at least 1 and possibly 2, but the spearmen do collapse on them. I mean, the infantry movement speed on these guys are so fast because of the upgrades, and I think he only ends up getting 1, which is massive. Villagers came out to repair the rest. But here come the man-at-arms now. The man-at-arms will do significantly better against the spearmen. But still, the numbers-wise, the numbers looking so good here for Demu. I think a heavy focus on man at arms for Core might put him in a good spot. He's still trying to rely on horsemen to tank a little bit, but against this number of spearmen, they're not going to achieve all that much. Villagers coming out. Where are they off to? Just relocating a little bit. I mean, this number of man at arms is now looking very healthy for Core. The spearmen can't really engage on that just yet. Now the village coming out to gold once again. And Demu starting to get a lot of gold access on the map. You feel like things are starting to swing once again in this match. This time it's in the favour of the Zhu Xi Legacy. Something that Core needs to be careful about is a lot of his production's on the front line, which definitely helps in terms of replenishing that army fast, but if he loses the production buildings, definitely going to have to relocate it around the back. Looks like he's going to go for a bit of a keep drop here, Demu. Will he manage it? I mean, the horsemen are blocking the pathway. He spots this, right? Core knows that something's up with the villagers. Going to try and deny any sort of keep going. I mean, he's not going to get that up in the end. Villagers have to back away. Horsemen diving on the bombers. In fact, the villagers in a prime location to repair the bombards, and the man-at-arms just looking too good in numbers. Bombards getting some damage on the back, but yeah, I mean, ultimately there's only one winner between the man-at-arms and the spearmen. And what's really concerning for Demu is these bombards are at risk now. They're very exposed. Demu's not actually heading back. It's just going to fight with the bomb. Holy moly, actually, the bombards. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. They ripped through the man-at-arms. There's just so many of them. Villagers coming out to repair as well. A couple of Nestabes on the back. And bombards themselves doing great work. Does get one, so numbers starting to dwindle. Might get another. Oh, that's really low on health. Villagers come out to repair. Clutch repair there for Demu on that bombard. Keeps it alive, and each one you keep alive is so significant. Very expensive units. Does take out one in the end. Possibly going to get another. I mean, he's blocked in pretty heavily. He should get a couple more. That's a big pushback actually for Core, I gotta say. Lost a bit there, Demu. He switched back into Palace Guards, and you can just see the constant switching between units, right? With Man-at-Arms from the HRE to counter the Spearmen from Zhu Xi Legacy, and then Zhu Xi Legacy going to Palace Guards to try and tank against the Man-at-Arms somewhat. Oh, Siege on the back. Palace Guards keeping that protected and safe. Oh, Chinese Zhu Xi Legacy trying to get a keep in the end, but didn't quite manage it, and that's very ballsy as a location. And on the right side, he's making a move for it. This gold vein still has a significant amount of gold in it, barely been taken so far. This one, on the other hand, has pretty much been taken. On the west side of things, this gold ripe for the taking. And I love the play there. I love that cause on this one. We mentioned earlier in the cast how this is an important gold vein to take, as well as this one, actually. Because if you take those out, those are two contestable areas for Demu. It was actually connected into the knight, actually, in the end. Going to go for a keep on the right side. Will that go up or not? I'm not so sure. I mean, the villagers, they build faster. I think there should be a bit of torch damage coming onto the keep if he wants to. We'll push away the villagers for now, and the keep won't go up. And Demu going to lose a bit of stone. He has to delete that, actually. I mean, he's going to... What, he's going to try and commit to this? No way. There's no way that goes up. He has to delete it. Palace Guard's making their way through the middle, though. I think he just loses the stone. That's massive. Losing that keep there for Demu. He tried something big, but it didn't quite work for him. Although, no, there's two bombards here for Core going to be taken and sniped. Mistakes have been made on both sides. Man-at-Arms on the right side for Core. This is actually a significant army. This could be quite a decisive fight, although, again, the siege on the back for Demu. Fantastic. All of a sudden, the pendulum swung once again. Couple of Palace Guards made it through around the back. It will be, I don't think he's got enough horsemen to deal with this, actually. Although, no, there's reinforcements coming in. He'll be fine. He'll be absolutely fine. But what might not be fine for him is this number of siege units. Horsemen eventually do clear that up, but it's caused a bit of idle time, caused a bit of annoyance. Demu started to push once again. And he's starting to lose a bit of infrastructure on the right side here, Core. Oh, a couple of units sent around the back, so Demu definitely looking to raid pretty heavily. One thing to consider, though, is the army being around the back here. Whilst we might get villager picks, it does technically mean his siege is likely to be a bit more exposed, but there's so much siege there, it feels difficult that it's going to be pushed. Oh, stone walls. Oh, they didn't quite get out in there. The horsemen do block the stone walls from going up and villagers will go down. He keeps it open for now. It's a very narrow choke point though, which actually suits the nest of bees and all things. So Demu won't be too disheartened about that. Although the man-at-arms stayed on there. Doesn't quite manage to get it up. Although he does now. Foundations are up. And he's stonewalling. Kind of interesting play though for Demu to try and think about the late game. Because, I mean, HOE do have 4 of the 5 relics. And he just killed a lot of villagers in the meantime. Around the back, the farms had to be evacuated. Many deaths have been incurred. With Palace of Swab here, it doesn't necessarily matter too much. The thing about the HRE and dealing with them, a lot of the times you can't necessarily raid them to death. It's one of the situations where you have to take out the infrastructure, which he's actually slowly doing now, Demu. In a really big way. And I love this actually, because what he's doing, a couple of units is forcing the HRE to chase, and he's chasing with a lot of units. And that means the front is a little bit exposed, as you can see. Bombards, oh, they're getting so much value. I was chasing with a lot of man-at-arms just for a handful of spearmen. I mean, this siege ultimately is relatively unprotected. It's going to go out on the west side with the villagers. Demu pulling the army left, right and centre, causing mayhem for the HRE. He's killed so many villagers so far. That's probably just going to continue. Backing away with the siege now. That's a lot of culverins for the HRE. It's exactly what he needed. Look at that, just siege versus siege. If anyone gets any units in this position, it could be dangerous. Demu, not taking any chances, backing away for now. Needs to somehow deal with this bit of raid on the west side. Starts heading further forward, trying to snap a culverin or two. Quite manages to get one in the end. With a sheer number of bombards. Core starting to head with a lot of army. I mean, one thing to bear in mind as well, if you do have a significant bank of resources, which actually, to be fair, Core doesn't really have, losing villagers can be a blessing in disguise. Oh, bombards, and they're engaging hugely. The horsemen trying to break on through. Most of the horsemen are down now. Man-at-arms are the ones that survive, but not with the nest of bees behind. I don't think the man-at-arms will survive for too much longer. Spearmen trying to push them away, or at least keep them engaged, while the nest of bees fire their rockets on the back. They do a lot of damage. Again, raiding happening on the west side, but back to the main fight. It's just a bit of a meat grinder here, guys. Demu does have to be a bit careful, because whilst he does a lot of siege, there's a lot of culverins for the HRE. And he's slowly trying to break through that stone wall. Now, gold situation is that Demu is pretty much reliant on this gold vein for now. Might have to make a play for the left side. He's breaking through the walls here. Taking this gold with a lot of villages. You get the feeling that gold is going to start to be a bit scarce after a short while. So it's really going to be now about protecting your main units, the gold heavy units, because it's very difficult to replace them at this stage. This gold vein does still have a good 2,000 gold in it, roughly. That's something that the HO are going to have to transition to. Gotta say, the food bank in here for the Zhu Xi Legacy, courtesy of all these farms, is absolutely phenomenal. 4,000 food, 3,500 food, roughly. That keep's going to go down pretty quickly. 3 bombards working heavily. This is actually a really strong army, by the way, for Core. Because they're heavily armoured units, man-at-arms, and it's mostly up against palace guards and spearmen. And ultimately, I think the HRE have a better army here. We have said that once or twice before. This could be tricky. I mean, culverins are going to start taking the bombards down pretty well. If you can get on top of them, you have to back away a little bit. Look to use the range. Down to 3 culverins, though. Oh, this should be a good fight here for Core. They are heavily armoured units. Going up against palace guards, though, they can somewhat hold their own. But with heavy maces in, elite man-at-arms should... I mean, he's not winning that fight. Down to numbers. Heading with a couple of horsemen. Nest of bees added in the mix on the pack. 4 of them. The bombards, though, working still well here for Core. Starting to push on forward. Actually, the horseman number looking decent here. The spearmen added into the mix, though. That will help definitely protect. He's slowly starting to push him further, though, Core. Getting a bit more of a grip in the game. Despite not having a huge amount of resources in the bank, actually, having said that, Demu spent a lot of food in a short period of time. He had 3,500 food, but that's kind of all gone in a blink of an eye. And the fact that Core is adding in and maintaining the man-at-arms production, this is looking dicey for Demu. I've got to say, momentum feels like it's heading in the way of Core. With 3,600 food coming on in, as I say that though, he adds in the Imperial Guard, a heavily armored, a heavy hitting unit for the Zhu Xi Legacy, 408 HP. Compare that to a man-at-arms with 216. The population efficiency of the Imperial Guard is absolutely phenomenal. And they're going to try and ride on through on the west side. Horsemen will chase, but it'll be hard for them to deal with that. Looks like Imperial Guards are going to be heading for the gold positions. Wait, what? Okay, this is a thing. I mean, sure. Oh my god, he's going to get a raid on the wood as well. Yeah, certainly gold is an issue at this stage of the game, but so is wood. Wood has almost been exhausted on this side of the map. In fact, it has entirely been exhausted. This is actually the only wood line that Demu has. This is a clutch play, by the way, because if he loses the siege engines... In fact, he's not even going to... Wait. I thought he was going to build a keep. What's going on? Yeah, maybe not. He's just going to try and take as much wood as he possibly can. But those Imperial Guards are there, so he'll be fine. Raiding with horsemen, though. This raid is huge. Around the back, sending spearmen. Farms have been evacuated. But Demu, he's been losing villagers. He's down to 83. He's been suffering. The villagers just fighting on the west side. Again, raiding a little bit. But the army kind of scattered all over the shop. For Demu, means that actually right down the middle, right in the main base, Core is getting good value. And he's pumping. And this is not looking great for Demu. Down to 76 villagers, and he doesn't have... I'm sure he's got 3 town centres. That might help him a little bit, but if the farms here are idle for too long, he's already lacking on food. That same could be said for Core. He's taking some big losses around the back. Has in a couple of Yuan raiders as well. Decapping the sacred site. Going to be denying a bit more gold trickling in. What a crazy game of Age of Empires. I'm not still sure who's going to win this one. It feels like Core's got a bit more momentum, but again, he's being attacked heavily in all directions as well. Around the back, the Core will start to deal with this. He's slowly dealing with it at least. And he does have a significant amount of stone in the bank. I wonder what he's going to plan to do with it. Demu has to get more villagers back on the map. So they've got 119 population. And that's going to be rough to build up again. He's held up with the military count, but as time goes on with this population count in terms of villagers, the resources won't come in quick enough to replace the army, at least not comparatively to the HRE. Don't forget the additional 40% bonus on these farmers. 2,600 food coming in per minute on that. Yuan raiders gonna go into the 2 villages in gold, and gold is starting to become an issue for both players. In fact, I don't think there is that much gold left in the map. I think this 3,000 gold vein is pretty much what's left around. This is where actually having those relics is all important, and having the sacred sites can come into play. And we start to see spearmen out for the HRE. Still a bit of stone to gather on the map. Having some keeps dotted around. I would love to see I mean, he does have stone for a keep or two. So I'd love to see some keeps on the farms, and it just will help against the raids. Although he might go for a more offensive one, because he's definitely being offensive now. Look how many man-at-arms he's got. This is going to be problems for Demu. I think this could be game. He doesn't have the army to deal with this. No signs of crossbows on the field. Doesn't have the gold for it. And while there's not that much in terms of units that Demu could do with this, I mean, ultimately, even if villagers are lost back at home, he can replace them, and it just comes down to who's going to die quicker. And I think the fact that 3 bombards, in fact 4 bombards for the HRE, they're going to do significantly more damage than these Imperial Guards that will slowly be starting to thin in numbers because the outposts dotted around. Yuan raiders trying to get a raid around on those bombards. Horsemen are wise to the ruse. They're engaging. He might actually get 1 bombard in the end. We have to see. Should get 1 at least. If he gets another one, that would be a big pick-off. And he might, yeah, he does get a second one. That's massive there for Demu. That'll halt the push a little bit. But he's still being raided heavily with man-at-arms on the farms and allowing the man-at-arms to torch things down. Only down to 2 bombards, but still that's a significant amount of damage output coming in. I think Demu, he's under all sorts of trouble. Down to 115 population, still raiding on the back line, but he's getting heavily pushed. The town centre about to go down, and that is the capital town centre, by the way. The main one, and whilst the Zhu Xi Legacy do have plenty of landmarks to get through for the landmark victory, I tell you what, the victory for Core looks pretty good here. Here we might lose bombards. Palace Guards rushing on out. Demu really starting to struggle for gold. Iran Raiders still getting some value. Spearmen, though, are there. Palace of Swambi are working at those Imperial Guards, too. Does lose both bombards, though, in the end. Demu with another big pick-off with the Palace Guards, but will it be enough to stem the flow? Cool. He keeps pumping on you through, and he's got a lot of military. 95 to 15. I think the game is over, ladies and gentlemen. Demu struggling to hold on, and there it is. He taps out core with a great victory on Cliffside. HRE triumphing over the Zhu Xi Legacy. Hope you guys enjoyed this cast game. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Take care, and see you next time.